नारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। आरोप सिद्ध इस गुणीभूत, संग सिद्ध इस प्राधानीभूत एंड शुद्ध भक्ति। हाँ या, तो लेट अस सी अभी क्या है कुछ इसमें। सो वी आर डिस्कसिंग दिस अनुच्छेद 225. There are I think 325 अनुच्छेदास or something. तो और नहीं, or maybe even less than that, or close to 300 अनुच्छेदास. Actually 13th part चल रहा है अभी, और एक ही पार्ट है 14th part, but 14th part लंबा है. It is about limbs, various limbs. इंपॉर्टेंट लिम्स में श्रवणम के बारे में डिटेल्स रहेगा, उसमें कीर्तनम के बारे में डिटेल्स, जपा के बारे में डिटेल्स, क्या है वो सब इंपॉर्टेंट एसेंशियल लिम्स, 4-5 लिम्स. एक्सेप्टिंग अ गुरु, गुरु कौन है, गुरु कौन नहीं है, those things and all. So the limbs part is long, but essentially that is the, उसमें उतना there will not be any serious ऐसा difficult terminology, सब कुछ नहीं है, but it's going to be very practically very relevant section, the last section, so don't miss it. So we have been discussing about aropa siddha bhakti, sanga siddha bhakti and shuddha bhakti. नहीं, शुद्ध भक्ति का क्या, and स्वरूप सिद्ध भक्ति. So आर हाँ, पहुंचे नहीं, वही प्योर भक्ति है. स्वरूप सिद्ध भक्ति मतलब प्योर भक्ति है. आरोप सिद्ध इस गुणीभूत, संग सिद्ध इस प्राधानीभूत, and स्वरूप सिद्ध इस शुद्ध भक्ति. सो संग सिद्ध भक्ति में हमने देखा, आरोप सिद्ध भक्ति was shown, now संग सिद्ध भक्ति will be shown. An example is mixed bhakti. Mixed bhakti means bhakti is predominant, it is mixed with something. Extraneous elements becoming bhakti through the association of Swarupa Siddha Bhakti was shown already. For instance, in the section where Prabuddha speaks of Bhagavata Dharma, Bhagavad Dharma was defined as possessing detachment, friendliness, and compassion. So he was speaking about various qualities. Sarvato Manaso Asangam, Adau Sangam Cha Sadhushu, Dayam Maitrim Prashrayam Cha Bhuteshu Addayatochitam. So the disciple should in the beginning learn detachment of the mind. So this is not a limb of pure devotional service. This is like Sangha Siddha Bhakti. That's what he is telling here. There are three types of Karma Mishra Bhakti. So desire for material gains, desire for liberation, and desire for Bhakti. Right? So these are all Karma Mishra Bhakti. So one may say, अरे अगर desire for Bhakti है, तो कर्म मिश्र भक्ति कैसे हो गया? डिजायर फॉर मटेरियल गेन, ठीक है, सकाम कर्म मिश्र भक्ति. डिजायर फॉर लिबरेशन, ठीक है, निष्काम कर्म मिश्र भक्ति. डिजायर फॉर भक्ति कैसे कर्म मिश्र भक्ति होगा? हरि गोपाल प्रभु, क्या लग रहा है आपको? ऐसे आ जाना थोड़ा, मुझे घूम घूम के ना पीठ दर्द कर रहा है, मैं बैक इज एकिंग. इफ यू सिट हियर आई कैन सी बोथ ऑफ यू, यू कैन आल्सो सी हियर. हाँ हाँ हाँ, ठीक है, we will go through it again. So हाँ, 225 अनुच्छेद हम कर रहे हैं. किधर तक पहुंचे हम? 226, 227, 228, 229 तक हमने, 229 तक. तो एटलीस्ट आज थोड़ा हम 229 तक रिवाइज करेंगे एटलीस्ट. ओके, So desire for material gain, desire for liberation, and bhakti, desire for bhakti. So he says, यावै साधन संपत्ति पुरुषार्थ चतुष्टये तया विना तदाप्नोति नरो नारायणाश्रयः. यावै साधन संपत्ति, जो साधना करने से जो संपत्ति आपको प्राप्त हो सकता है, क्या है वो? पुरुषार्थ चतुष्टय, तो 4 पुरुषार्थ, धर्म अर्थ काम मोक्ष. तया विना तदाप्नोति. You can achieve those 4 purusharthas without performing all those karma or jnana. Naro Narayana Ashra, only if you take shelter of Narayana. So one may take, which is one's practice may be jnana karma the anavrita bhakti, but he may have desire for dharma artha kama and moksha. Okay, so which means his sadhya is mixed, sadhana may be pure. That is the meaning of Narayana Ashra. Though it is possible to attain the goals of material enjoyment and liberation by pure bhakti alone, because of various desires, people develop taste for those other goals. They may develop taste for the other goals. To attain those things, people practice mixed bhakti. Bhakti performed while having material desires is generally mixed with elements of karma, which is karma mishra bhakti. He says generally it is seen that when there is anyabhilasha, it generally leads to jnana karma the avrita bhakti also. There are very few people, even though Bhagavatam suggests, like Madhav Gopal Prabhu was sharing the other day, that Bhagavatam is preaching pure devotional service, but it gives concession for Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti. Where is Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti indicated? Akama sarvakama va mokshakama udaradihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. So Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti is allowed. Concession is there for Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti in Bhagavatam. So, but very few people who are akama or mokshakama will practice actually Guni Bhuta also. It gives concession for Guni Bhuta. General recommendation is Pradhani Bhuta. The highest thing is Shuddha Bhakti. Gita, the highest thing that Gita gives is Shuddha Bhakti, but general recommendation is Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti and concession for Guni Bhuta Bhakti. So, but here Jiva Goswami says generally when there is Anya Bilasha, then unka practice generally practice be mixed rehta hai. The word karma means dharma. Karma Mishra Bhakti means dharma Mishra Bhakti. The Varnashrama dharma. The qualities of dharma were mentioned in general by the Yamadutas. Yamadutas said, Veda pranihito dharmo hyadharmastad viparyayah Vedo narayano sakshat swayambhuriti shrut-shruma. So what is dharma? Veda pranihito dharma. That which the Vedas prescribe is dharma. But what they did not know is that Vedas have different sections. Especially the Bhakti section of the Vedas are very secret. So the Yamadutas are not expected to know about the Bhakti section, the conclusions of the Bhakti section, or the superiority of the Bhakti section of the Vedas. So therefore they were speaking from the karma point of view. पाप किया प्रायश्चित नहीं किया, पाप किया प्रायश्चित नहीं किया, और उनके हिसाब से प्रायश्चित मतलब कर्मकांडीय प्रायश्चित. So the Vishnudutas are trying to explain them, अरे वो एक प्रकार का प्रायश्चित है. आपको भक्ति के बारे में पता है क्या? हरिनाम के बारे में पता है क्या? So even whatever little they know about chanting the holy name also is a part of their karmakandi practice only. So they did not really know the glorification. Hmm. So what is dharma? That which perpetrates samsara in one sense, in a very pious way. The Vedas deal with three gunas, Traigunya Vishaya Veda. Hmm. Karma or dharma becomes accomplished by consciously following the Vedas, unlike bhakti that may be performed unknowingly. So if you do an activity of devotional service unknowingly, what will happen? क्या होगा? अज्ञात सुकृति मिलेगा. What if you will do an activity of dharma unknowingly? Huh? Some little punya will come, but you will not develop faith in that process, right? So Vedas have to be consciously followed. Bhakti, even when unconsciously followed, leads to agyat sukriti, right? So karma is also defined in the Gita. Bhuta bhavod karo visarga karma samgitah. Actions directed towards the devatas which create desires of the living entities are called as karma. So karma actually perpetrates one's stay in this material world, even though in a pious way. So the Traigunya Vishaya Veda Dharma cannot lead one to liberation, right? Visarga means giving up objects and offering them to the devatas. That is representative of all dharma. This creates desire for the living beings. Huh? And when this creates desire for the living entities, they will perform and they will get reaction. And for that, dissolving that reaction, they have to take birth again, like that. This definition excludes bhakti. Dharma becomes excellent by associating with bhakti, but this dharma, is which can be practiced for the devatas, when it is when there is the element of bhakti, this dharma becomes excellent. Hmm? The Lord says in the first 11th canto, Dharmo madbhaktikrit prokto jnanam chaikatmya darshanam guneshu asango vairagyam aishwaryam cha animadaya. So the Lord says, Dharma means what produces bhakti. Dharmo madbhaktikrit prokto. Madbhaktikrit, that which creates bhakti to me is dharma. So, and real jnana, real vairagya, real aishwarya and all he is describing. So, basically, he says when the dharma has the element of bhakti, it is excellent dharma. Hmm? So, dharma with bhakti as an assistant is aropa siddha bhakti. And when dharma is the assistant to bhakti, it is sangha siddha bhakti. And bhakti without any assistance, actually, bhakti cannot have assistants. Explain this statement. Bhakti cannot have assistants. Explain the statements. Okay. When jnana and karma is there, it is not an assistant, but it is an obstruction. सर्वेंट का पर्पस क्या है? मास्टर को असिस्ट करना. कर्म और ज्ञान भक्ति को कभी भी असिस्ट नहीं कर सकता है. वो जो कर रहा है उसका गलतफहमी है. जो मिक्स कर रहा है उसका फेथ का प्रॉब्लम है. भक्ति को कर्म ज्ञान योगा कवर ही कर सकता है, असिस्ट कभी भी नहीं कर सकता है. कवर ही कर सकता है उसको. कैन क्लाउड्स असिस्ट सनलाइट? Clouds can only cover the sunlight. Clouds can actually not cover the sunlight. Clouds can cover only the vision of the seer. Similarly, karma jnana yoga cannot cover bhakti also. They can cover the faith of the performer of bhakti, right? So bhakti does not need the assistance of dharma, but nevertheless, for the performer's point of view, he thinks that भक्ति सफिशिएंट नहीं है, असिस्टेंस चाहिए, उसका फेथ का प्रॉब्लम है, भक्ति का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. No. So dharma is called bhakti by offering results to the Lord, and using it as an assistant to bhakti. So aropa siddha bhakti, sangha siddha bhakti. By mixing such actions with bhakti, sakama bhakti results. Hmm. So example of Kardama who used dharma as an assistant for bhakti. Praja srijeti bhagavan Kardamo brahmanoditah saraswatyam tapastepe sahasranam samadasha. So he gives, oh dear Vidura, when Brahma said to Kardama, produce progeny, Kardama went to the bank of the Saraswati river and performed penance for 10,000 years. He performed penance. Tata samadhi yuktena kriya yogena Kardamaha samprapede harim bhaktya prapanna vardashusham. Then, through his austerities, using methods of worship with concentrated mind, Kardama with devotion worshipped the Supreme Lord, the giver of benedictions to the surrendered. So he worshipped him, but dharma was secondary. So this is which bhakti? Hmm. Yeah. Sangha Siddha Bhakti, Pradhani Bhuta. Huh? When he saw the Lord, he developed Nishkama Bhakti indicated by his tears. But after he saw the Lord, his Karma Mishra Bhakti became pure Bhakti. Just as Dhruva Maharaj. He had desire in his Bhakti because of his respect for the order of Brahma. Kardama. Hmm. 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 Okay, he can still, by respecting Brahmaji as a Vaishnava, he could have. But here it is mentioned that when Kardama saw the Lord, he expressed tears, which are Ashtashatvika Vikaras, which are indications of pure devotion. So, हाँ, मिश्र भक्ति में टीयर्स आ सकता है, पर उसको अष्टसात्विक विकार नहीं बोलते हैं. टीयर्स तो ऑर्डिनरी मटेरियल पर्सन को भी आ सकता है. एनी ऑफ दिस अष्टसात्विक विकारास कैन मैनिफेस्ट इन अ मटेरियल पर्सन आल्सो. सो अष्टसात्विक विकारास का मल्टीपल रीजंस है. We discussed some 6 or 7 different possibilities when Ashtasatvika Vikaras are can manifest. And only in one such case it indicates bhava or prema. There could be 6 other ways in which you can manifest these Ashtasatvika Vikaras, but they are not bhava. So here Jiva Goswami says, when Kardam Muni, while worshipping the Lord, he was practicing Karma Mishra Bhakti, but when he saw the Lord, his Karma Mishra Bhakti got transformed into Shuddha Bhakti. Okay. So then, 226. The desire for liberation is sometimes Karma Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and sometimes it is Jnana Mishra Bhakti. So, when it is Karma Jnana Mishra Bhakti and when it is Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Hari Gopal Prabhu, क्या लग रहा है आपको? When is desire for liberation Karma Jnana Mishra Bhakti, when it is Jnana Mishra Bhakti? So when there is attachment to when he gives up karma in his practice, that is Jnana Mishra Bhakti. When he does not give up karma, even though he may be qualified for it also. Uh, what is that? Sankhya Tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate, Krishna says. Na? Even though what is the beginning? Kya hai? Tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate. Sankhya fifth chapter, I think 5.3 or something, 5.3, 5.4. Sannyasa karma yogascha nishreyasa karavubhav tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate, Krishna says. So liberation can be attained by karma sannyas and karma yoga. So similarly, salokya mukti can also be attained by jnana mishra bhakti or karma jnana mishra bhakti, right? So example of jnana mishra bhakti is given. Jnanam chaikatmya darshanam. Jnanam means seeing oneness. Since Vairagya, Yoga and Sankhya, as well as hearing about Jnana or its Sanghas, they are included in Jnana. Now, Karma Jnana Mishra Bhakti is illustrated. Karma Jnana Mishra Bhakti kya hai? Animitta nimittena swadharmena amalatmana tivraya mayi bhaktyacha shruta sambratayacharam. This is the 27th chapter. How by practice of Karma Jnana Mishra Bhakti one attains liberation. Kapila Dev teaches Mother Devahoti. So here, if you see, the word Swadharmena Amalatmana is mentioned. Practice of Swadharma is indicated. Jnana Mishra Bhakti में स्वधर्म नहीं आएगा, हाँ? But purpose क्या है? प्रकृति पुरुषस्य दह्यमाना तो अहर्निशम तिरो भवित्री शनकैर अग्नेर योनिर इवारणी. So he says that by practicing this bhakti, gradually the subtle body burns like the arani wood burns when after it lights, right? So it gets burnt. So using the subtle body, you perform the sadhana, and by that sadhana, the subtle body only gets burnt. So this is karma jnana mishra bhakti for liberation. This is not purely jnana mishra. बैक पेन हो रहा है मुझे बहुत. ये जो सिटिंग पोस्चर ना, इट इज नॉट वेरी कन्वीनियंट फॉर मी. आई थिंक इसका कुछ तो सोचना पड़ेगा. हाँ, वॉक वुड टेकना पड़ेगा मुझे, बिकॉज एंड आई एम सीइंग दैट एक जगह पे देख रहा हूँ एक्चुअली ना, ये प्रॉब्लम है. इधर एक ही जगह पे बोर्ड है और मेरा एक्सटेंशन इधर तक ही आता है, और दूसरा एक्सटेंशन था मेरे पास, बट दैट इज टू बल्की टू कैरी ऑन माय बैग. बट आई थिंक वही सॉल्यूशन है, उसको लेके आके उधर टेक के आई हैव टू कीप इट दिस वे एंड यू हैव टू सिट दिस साइड. ऐसा होगा. only like that it is possible. Maybe from tomorrow I will try to get that only. ये वो मैं अभिमन्यु को दे दिया, अभी इसको अभिमन्यु को देके वही लेके आता हूँ. ये थोड़ा लंबा नहीं है उतना. Okay, so so you see here the karma element is animitta nimittena, means nishkama. This is the karma element. And amalatmana, with pure mind, jnanena, yoga, these are all jnana elements. So this is karma jnana mishra pradhanibhuta bhakti or sangha siddha bhakti. Okay, actually bhakti is the angi, the source of all methods, he says. So, and further he gives proof for bhakti being the source of all methods from the 10th canto. Swargapa vargayo pumsam rasayam bhuvi sampadam sarvasam api siddhinam moolam tat charanarchanam. So he says tat charana archanam, service to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. He says moolam, it is the root of sarvasam api siddhinam, of all the perfections. This is the root of perfections that one can find in Swarga, liberation, and even in the subterranean regions, Rasayam, in the Rasatal also. So, yeah. So here he is telling this verse is quoted where else? आपको पता है? Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu में Rupa Goswami quotes this verse for Archanam. Moolam Taccharanarchanam. But he is talking about siddhis and perfections which can be attained in Swarga or Rasatal. So which means the desire is to for other desires also there. Uska bhi source Moolam Tat Charana Archanam. The root of all that is worshipping the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. Okay. So then अनुच्छेद 227 ज्ञान मिश्र भक्ति का description, because ज्ञान मिश्र भक्ति also is संग सिद्ध भक्ति only ना. विविक्त क्षेम शरणो मद्भाव विमलाशयः आत्मानं चिन्तयेदेकम् अभेदेन मया मुनिः. This is 11th canto again. Dwelling in a safe and solitary place. This is the secondary limb. Vivikta Kshema Sharano. This is the limb of Jnana. Mad Bhava Vimalashaya. His mind purified by constant thoughts of me. This is Bhakti. This is the primary limb. Okay. The sage should contemplate that the Jiva is non-different from me. This is the secondary limb. Again, Jnana ka part hai. His heart is pure because of thinking of me. The Lord speaks this verse. 11th canto. Na? So this is an example of Jnana Mishra Bhakti. And 228. Thus, with the desire for liberation, Jnana Mishra Bhakti has been described. Now, Karma Mishra Bhakti with a desire only for Bhakti is described. So, हमने 3 types of Karma Mishra Bhakti देखा ना? No, 3 types of Sangha Siddha Bhakti देखा. One is for enjoyment, another is for liberation, another is for Bhakti. Liberation में 2 type है, कर्मा मिश्र भक्ति और sorry ज्ञान मिश्र भक्ति and कर्म ज्ञान मिश्र भक्ति. हाँ, Yoga Mishra Bhakti can be clubbed with karma or jnana depending on whether it is desire for, if it is desire for mukti, it is jnana. If it is desire for siddhi, it is karma, like that. Now, karma Mishra Bhakti with a desire only for bhakti is described. Not necessarily. Yeah, yoga, in that case, you can call it, you can club it with Jnana Mishra Bhakti only. Yeah, but the secondary benefits का भी attraction हो सकता है. Now, Karma Mishra Bhakti with a desire only for bhakti is described. So, proof for Karma Mishra Bhakti with desire for bhakti. वही यही डिस्कशन चल रहा था ना. श्रद्धामृत कथायां में शश्वन् मद अनुकीर्तनम परिनिष्ठा च पूजायां स्तुतिभिस्तवनं मम मदर्थे अर्थ परित्यागो भोगस्य च सुखस्य च इष्टं दत्तं हुतं जप्तं मदर्थं यद्व्रतं तपः एवं धर्मैर्मनुष्याणाम् उद्धवामृत निवेदिनां मयि संजायते भक्ति कोन्यर्थो अस्य अवशिष्य. कोन्योर्तोस्यावशिष्यते होना चाहिए शायद एंड में. मयि संजायते भक्ति कोन्योर्तोस्यावशिष्यते, I think. So he says, firm faith in the narration of my sweet pastimes constant shishyate. Correct. Te miss ho gaya udhar. Firm faith in the narration of my sweet pastimes, constant chanting of my glories, unwavering attachment to my worship, praising me through verses, giving up wealth for my sake, renouncing material sense gratification and happiness, performing acts of charity, offering homa and chanting japa, performing vows like Ekadashi. Some of them, it depends on how you take. Some acharyas explain that these are limbs of bhakti only, because austerity means, or vrata means Ekadashi vrata, like that. Or some austerity can be taken to be, Jiva Goswami here explains austerity and all as limbs of karma. So therefore he is putting it as Karma Mishra Bhakti. Yeah. So the question was, can one get bhakti by Mishra Bhakti? This was the question, right? So one gives up material wealth in order to worship me, since it is contrary to bhakti. वही कर रहे हैं ना अभी, समावलोकन ही कर रहे हैं ना अभी. आगे का गया क्या हमने? अनुच्छेद 229 तक, 220. हाँ, तो इतना तक. अभी टाइम क्या है? 20 minutes hai. Okay. So, good. So let's try to understand this. Firm faith in the narration of my sweet pastimes, constant chanting of my glories, unwavering attachment to my worship, praising me through verses, giving up wealth for my sake, and all these things. Performing vows like Ekadashi by those human beings who have surrendered themselves to me, develop bhakti for me. What other result could remain for my devotee? हाँ हाँ हो सकता है it करेक्ट तो देर भक्ति का डेफिनेशन इज शांत रति बोल रहे हैं क्या या इवन शांत रसा कैनॉट बी अचीव्ड शांत रति तक पहुंच सकते हैं रति इज भावा हाँ बट वो रस नहीं बनेगा अगर मिक्स है तो समझा ना रति रस रसा में जब भाव से प्रेम जाएगा तो रति रसा बन जाता है बट इफ मिश्र भक्ति में शांत रति है रसा नहीं है नो नो रसा ओनली रति you will not get so देखते हैं so they perform this to develop bhakti for me they are not considered as pure devotees shanta rati जिनको है they are not pure devotees yeah hmm. Hmm. Bhakti means service only na no 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 वही है bhakti means service they serve there is service but service is not in a particular rasa it's not that shanta bhakta service नहीं करते हैं वैसा नहीं है they serve they serve हाँ है गोलका में है the small children it is mentioned जो छोटा हाँ sometimes it is mentioned as shanta sometimes it is mentioned as it is called as uparasa see गोलोक में शांत रसा है हाँ नहीं नहीं वो सबको ऊपर रसा बोलते हैं ऊपर रसा एंड वो क्या है पता है आई थिंक इज इज जैवधर्मा ओनली और भानु महाराज एक फुटनोट में लिखते हैं कि शांत रसा इज शोन इन गोलोक वृंदावन by small children who are who just when they take darshan of Krishna they are like awestruck with admiration but because they are very small they cannot you know ये सब थोड़ा this is नहीं this is like in one sense like yeah but as an aspiration goloka ka for a sadhaka never aspires for shantarasa in goloka वो नहीं है but in goloka uh, there are these small children who are in shantarasa but they are nitya siddhas but for sadhana practice that is not there it is not there it is not recommended for a sadhaka shantarasa in goloka vrinda raktak patrak वो सब prominent सख्य वात्सल्य माधुर्य तो पता है है बहुत सारा लोग रहेंगे So one gives up material wealth in order to worship me, since it is contrary to bhakti. One gives up enjoyment, such as applying sandalwood, which gives enjoyment. One gives up happiness in the form of caressing sons, etc. One performs Vedic rites for me. ये जो understanding ही गलत है actually, right? Thus they are a cause of bhakti, है ना? तो ये जो समझ है, यही गलत है. तो what they get as bhakti is actually they progress on the path of Mishra Bhakti. This is my understanding. Vedic rites according to one's Varnashrama. Yeah, it is Nishkama, but the attachment to the understanding that I need to perform Varnashram is there, na? I can't give up my Varnashram duties. That is there. So when that is there, when he is performing Varnashram duties, he has attachment to Varnashram duties, but it is a cause of bhakti. Means it is not a cause of pure bhakti. It is a cause of Mishra Bhakti. That is what na. What is that? 10th, huh? Which means the element for enhancing the element of bhakti, to progress on the path of Mishra Bhakti, to become more elevated on the path of Mishra Bhakti. That is my understanding. Otherwise, when the sadhana is impure, how can you get a pure sadhya? वो होगा ही नहीं ना. पढ़ेंगे आगे, कुछ क्लियर होता है क्या, देखते हैं. By these Bhagavata dharmas, acts performed by body, words and mind only for me, surrendered souls develop bhakti to me. इधर ही क्वेश्चन मार्क डाला. भक्ति मतलब क्या है? शुद्ध भक्ति है क्या? This is a doubt, right? What other results in sadhana and in sadhya remain for that person who desires only bhakti? Even though all other results are not given regard, they take shelter of bhakti. यस्यास्ति भक्तिर्भगवत्य किंचन सर्वैर्गुणैस्तत्र समासते सुरा हराव भक्तस्य कुतो महद्गुणा मनोरथेना सति धावतो बहिः. Right? This is merely to show that all results are given by bhakti. सब रिजल्ट आपको भक्ति करने से मिल जाएगा. Okay. So this is where we ended our discussion. So इधर ही हमारा डाउट था, क्या इससे हमको भक्ति मिलना मतलब ओ ही प्रोग्रेसेस ऑन द पाथ ऑफ. अभी भक्त्या संजातया भक्त्या, बाय भक्ति यू गेट भक्ति ना. तो उसका मतलब क्या है? साधना भक्ति से भाव भक्ति मिल रहा है, और दोनों स्टेजेस ऑफ द सेम ना, स्टेजेस ऑफ द सेम. शुद्ध भक्ति का ही स्टेज है ना साधना और भावा, है कि नहीं? वैसा ही मिश्र भक्ति का भी स्टेजेस रह सकता है ना. साधना मिश्र भक्ति से साध्य मिश्र भक्ति, वैसा कुछ तो हो सकता है. हाँ, वैसा कुछ तो रहेगा, ऐसा कुछ तो रहेगा. हाँ, भगवान का धाम प्राप्त करना, उसको भक्ति बोल सकते हैं शायद, है ना. भगवत भगवत धाम प्राप्त करना, राइट. वैकुंठ प्राप्ति, तो उसको भक्ति बोल सकते हैं, है कि नहीं? सो द लॉर्ड स्पीक्स दिस वर्स. तो अभी लेट अस कंटिन्यू. अनुच्छेद 229. निषेवितेनानिमित्तेन स्वधर्मेण महीयसा क्रियायोगेन शस्तेन नातिहिंस्रेण नित्यशः. So he is giving limbs of pure bhakti, but he says swadharmena, but he says nishevitena, means approved by previous devotees. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti's explanation, which means some elements of swadharma which are not covering bhakti, they can be practiced. Okay, animittena, without desire for results, and which are favorable for bhakti, and by always performing powerful pancharatrika deity worship with best choice of items and without unnecessary violence. So these are like 16, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. ये सब आई थिंक अभी आगे पढ़ेंगे तो पता चलेगा कि क्यों ये कोट किया है. दिस कपिलदेव स्पीकिंग टू मदर देवहूति. मद्दिष्ण्यदर्शन स्पर्श पूजा स्तुत्यभिवंदनैः भूतेषु मद्भावनया सत्वेना संगमेन च. अभी मैं इनका भक्तिवेदांता हॉस्पिटल डॉक्टर्स के लिए भगवत गीता शुरू किया है फ्राइडे. तो उसमें I started with what, so they wanted a forum for discussing their philosophical, because all of them are like, at least they have been initiated devotees at least for 10 years. Many of them 15 and more. So unko they need a forum, because some of them attend my other sessions. So usme they get some philosophical understanding. So they want, अरे यही philosophical understanding भगवत गीता के द्वारा हमको चाहिए. So I decided that instead of doing all three commentaries, we will do only विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर's commentary. क्योंकि simple है, छोटा है, ज्यादा complicated नहीं है, उसमें सब गौड़ीय वैष्णव सिद्धांत भी आ जाता है. So we decided, but I started with वो as it is commentary है ना. What is an as it is commentary? वो session लिया मैंने. I took that elaborately. So they liked it very much. It gives some clarity. मतलब क्योंकि अभी देखो हम जो सेक्शन पढ़ रहे हैं उसमें विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर says these are limbs of शुद्ध भक्ति and he explains it accordingly. ये देखो, इसमें देखो, even though which are favorable for bhakti is not there in the verse, उन्होंने खुद डाला है, implied. विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर's addition in explaining this verse. So by doing this addition, he is explaining that this series of verses are talking about practice of pure devotional service. But Jiva Goswami is not explaining these verses in that way. Jiva Goswami is taking, देखो स्वधर्मेण लिखा है ना, कर्म मिश्र भक्ति है. स्वधर्मेण निषेविते. So, and he explains निषेवितेन as approved by previous devotees. अभी जीव गोस्वामी लेंगे तो he will not explain it like that. So in this way, individual verses. So हमने ये डिस्कस किया कि as it is commentary का मतलब क्या है. Prabhupada calls it भगवत गीता as it is. तो as it is का मतलब क्या है? If you see individual verses का शब्दार्थ अलग अलग आचार्य ने अलग अलग दिया है ना. And explanation of that verse differently given. Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya only. And purport is different. हाँ? नहीं, वही बोल रहा हूँ. तो I expanded it little bit. तो मतलब रामानुजाचार्य का और मध्वाचार्य का as it is commentary है कि नहीं? Correct. So the point is, what is as it is? If you read the whole work, Dashamula Tattva, any as it is commentary will have these 10 elements, Dashamula Tattva. Apart from that, and as it is Gaudiya Vaishnava commentary will have this additional 4 elements, right? Aradhyo Bhagavan Rajeshatanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavado Vargenaya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumatama. The additional punch, 10 plus 5. So whether you read Baldev Bhushan or Vishnu Jagat Thakur or Jiva Goswami or Srila Prabhupada, ये जो 15 थिंग्स तो रहेगा ही वो इसमें, इवन दो इंडिविजुअल वर्सेस कैन बी. सो एज इट इज का मतलब क्या है? फर्स्ट आई आस्क देम, व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज एज इट इज? So many people gave different answers. Actually, most people said we never thought about it. Some people told जो भगवान ने अर्जुन को बोला, वॉट एवर ही मेंट दैट इज एज इट इज. फिर मैंने सोचा वैसा है, तो फिर मैंने सोचा दिखाया अलग अलग वर्सेस. बलदेव विद्याभूषण ऐसे बोल रहे हैं, विष्णु जगदाकुर ऐसे बोल रहे हैं, प्रभुपाद ऐसे बोल रहे हैं. अर्जुन कृष्ण ने व्हाट डिड कृष्णा मीन बोला. कुछ लोग ऐसे भी बोले, प्रभुपाद ने एज इट इज बोला है ना उनको कमेंट्री को, तो प्रभुपाद ने जो बोला वही है एज इट इज. तो ऐसा वैसा. सम पीपल टोल्ड एवरीथिंग इज एज इट इज. हाउ वो पता नहीं, पर एवरीथिंग इज एज इट इज. हमको लग रहा है कि. तो एंड सम पीपल टोल्ड एज इट इज मीन्स क्या है? गुरु शिष्य परंपरा में जो आता है वही है एज इट इज. तो मैंने पूछा ठीक है, गुरु शिष्य परंपरा में वो एज इट इज है, तो मल्टीपल कमेंट्रीज का जरूरत क्या है? ट्रांसलेशन सेम होना चाहिए, वर्ड टू वर्ड सेम होना चाहिए, परपोर्ट सेम होना चाहिए, मतलब तो अलग अलग कमेंट्रीज का जरूरत क्या है? सो देन आई टोल्ड लुक, बलदेव विद्याभूषण विश्वनाथ चक्रधाकुर का शिष्य है. एंड बलदेव विद्याभूषण का लाइन में आते हैं, भूषण के बाद बलदेव विद्याभूषण कॉन्टेम्पररी वॉज जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज. उनका शिष्य थे भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर. भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर का गौर किशोर दास बाबा जी महाराज. उनका भक्ति सिद्धांत ठाकुर. उनका प्रभुपाद है ना. तो उनका ही लाइन में प्रभुपाद आते हैं. तो अभी देखो, ओ विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर का भी मैच नहीं हो रहा है, बलदेव विद्याभूषण के भी मैच नहीं हो रहा है, तो आपका डेफिनेशन के जैसा कैसा ये आईएसटी है? तो यू गेट लाइक वेराइटी ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग्स. व्हाई डिड प्रभुपाद? तो लोग बोले कि इतना हमने पढ़ा है, इतना हमने उसको जशिया है तशी बोल के हमने बांटा है, पर कभी सोचा नहीं कि क्यों प्रभुपाद उसको एज इट इज बोल रहे हैं बोल के. सो इसका अच्छा, वी हैड अ वेरी नाइस डिस्कशन, नाइस चर्निंग हैपेंड. तो so basically it is the overall philosophy, because I added additional part also. पहला जो था उसे मैं additional add किया. उसमें it is mentioned ना, भागवत विभु सर्वाश्रय प्रति श्लोके प्रति अर्थे नाना अर्थ का है. वो क्या है? वो सीसी का. तो वो सेक्शन हमने लिया, दैट कम्स इन सनातन गोस्वामी को चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने वो 61 मीनिंग्स ऑफ आत्माराम वर्स है ना उसमें. तो 61 मीनिंग्स किधर, मतलब कौन सा उस सनातन शिक्षा में आता है ना. सो सो 61 मीनिंग्स कैसे, उसमें कौन सा? एंड देन वी डिस्कस्ड अबाउट हु इज क्वालिफाइड टू कमेंट. तो उसमें ही आता है, वही सेक्शन में आता है एक्चुअली. इसे मैं एक्चुअली एक पागल व्यक्ति था, हाँ, तो मैं कुछ भी बोल दिया, ओनली दूसरा पागल लोग ही ये समझ पाएंगे. So then Prabhupada writes a very elaborate commentary to that. He says that one who is uh, mad in Krishna Prem, only he is fit to write commentaries to Bhagavatam. Yeah, I will read that. Huh? Spiritual inspiration. वो स्फूर्ति चाहिए ना. हाँ हाँ, वही वही हमने डिस्कस किया. सो प्रभुपाद बोले कि प्रभुपाद ने लिखा नहीं, दिस इज ऑल कृष्णा डिक्टेटेड. सो I'll just show that. Interesting what Prabhupada writes. With that we will end our discussion. So this is the last section. Qualification for on Vaishnav Shastras. So इसमें देखो, so what is the qualification for commenting on Bhakti scriptures? So we discussed from the 5 explanations that Vishwanath Jagadhakur gives for the first verse of Bhagavatam. So someone can say that I can write the 6th explanation. So लिख सकते हैं क्या? Is it Krishna Tulya Bhagavata Vibhu Sarvashray Pratishloke Prati Akshare Nana Artakai. Srimad Bhagavatam is as great as Krishna, the Supreme Lord and shelter of everything. In each and every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam and in each and every syllable there are various meanings. यही मत कहिलो एक श्लोकेर व्याख्यान वातुलेर प्रलाप करी के करे प्रमाण. In this way, like a madman, I have explained the meaning of just one verse. I do not know who will take this as evidence. आमा है ना ये बाके है वातुला है यही दृष्टे भागवतेरा अर्थ जानाई. If one becomes a madman like me, he may also understand the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam by this process, he says. क्या है? ये हो रहा है क्या? So वो इसमें he says, if one becomes a madman like me, he may also understand the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam by this process, he says. Prabhupada क्या लिखते हैं देखो purport में. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu plainly explains that Srimad Bhagavatam cannot be understood by those who are materially situated. In other words, one has to become a madman like Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Apart from being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an Acharya who exhibited love of God like a madman. According to his own written verse, Yugaitam Nimeshena, he says that for him a moment seems to last 12 years or more. Chakshusha Pravrashayatam, my tears are flowing like torrents of rain. So he's telling what is the qualification to write. Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam. I feel as if the entire universe were vacant. Why? Govinda Virahenami, due to my being separated from Govinda or Krishna. One can understand Srimad Bhagavatam only by following in the footsteps of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was mad for Krishna. We cannot, of course, imitate Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is not possible. However, unless one is very serious about understanding Krishna, he cannot understand Srimad Bhagavatam. ये तो to understand the explanations of Srimad Bhagavatam. To give your own explanation. Although you have to be a madman like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because only then you will receive the spurti. Right? Like that. Anyway, so हमने आज we could only revise what we already completed. So we'll continue this discussion tomorrow. So कल Thursday है. ये हफ्ते का last दिन है. At least आ जाओ कल. फिर then we will continue it from Monday onwards. हाँ? हाँ. Yeah, Bhakti Sandarbha, because Brihad Bhagavatamrita is fairly simple, but Bhakti Sandarbha needs discussion. तो वो important है. ठीक है. So we'll end here. Srila Prabhupada की जाए, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad की जाए, Bhakti Sandarbha की जाए. Hare Krishna. हाँ.